Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. I'm Nancy Deutsch, the Director of Youth-Nex, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you here this morning. So before we begin, please join me in acknowledging the Monacan and Powhatan people as the traditional custodians of the land in and around the lands that we are on today. Dispossessed from these lands and continuing to live with that legacy, we pay respects to their elders, past and present. Our acknowledgement of the Monacan and Powhatan people reflects a commitment to respect and greater inclusion through a formal recognition of those who were here first and whose continued presence is important to our future. We also acknowledge and pay respect to the individual lives of the African peoples and their descendants who were forced to dedicate their labor to the construction of what is now the University of Virginia. Scholars estimate that at least 5,000 Black laborers who were enslaved worked on the grounds, and many in residence, starting with the construction of the lawn in 1817 and lasting through the end of the Civil War in 1865. These people built and sustained the everyday life of this university. These acknowledgements are but one form of public intervention, but they do serve as a necessary step in honoring the Monacan, Powhatan people, and enslaved laborers. We reflect on the injustices committed to these Native communities and enslaved peoples and honor their stories, told and untold, and their descendants, past, and leaders, present and emerging. And we are here to celebrate today emerging leaders. It's now my pleasure to welcome Dean Stephanie Rowley, who will give some opening remarks. Dean Rowley joined the School of Education and Human Development this fall, not only as the Dean, but also the William R. Keenan Jr. Professor of Education. She previously served as Dean of Teachers College Columbia and in multiple leadership roles at the University of Michigan. Her research broadly explores how parents' attitudes towards race and gender and their own social experiences influence their children's motivation in school. For those of you who don't know, this is not Dean Rowley's first time at UVA. She received her master's and PhD in developmental psychology from UVA, and her husband Larry is a graduate of the School of Education and Human Development's very own higher education program. Professor Dean Rowley comes to us with a distinguished career as a scholar with a lengthy record of publications, grants, and awards. But I'm not going to list those for you today because it would take up all our time, and you can read about them in her bio. Instead, because we are here to talk about Youth Voice and Agency, I want to highlight Dean Rowley's extensive record of mentoring and leadership, all of which reflect a dedication to authentic engagement with and making space for the people and voices around her. Her commitment to making space at the table, listening, and responding is truly impressive, and I can think of no better person to be given opening remarks here this morning. Please join me in welcoming Dean Rowley.
So I know I'm in the right place when I'm introduced as a mentor, when I'm introduced as someone who is making space for others. That makes my heart sing. So thank you for that introduction, Nancy. So on behalf of UVA School of Education and Human Development, I want to welcome you all to the 8th Annual Youth-Nex Conference. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who made this possible. This is amazing to think that we're all assembled here, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the day. To Nancy, to the Youth-Nex team, and Altria for funding that has helped to make this possible. So thank you. So I could hardly walk in the door this morning for the family reunion. As I walked in, the smiles and hugs, it has been amazing to see my people, if you will, literally, many of my former students and postdocs who are here, friends along the way, and certainly people who share my interest in youth development, positive youth development. And this is such a critical time. If you think about what's happening in the world, I was reading a Facebook post by a good friend whose daughter is 16, and I won't go into all the details, but you can imagine. And she was talking about how her daughter is really struggling with her various identities, the ways that they're contested in the world, the ways that other people experience her, and the ways that other people are trying to limit her. And she was talking about, in some ways, a lot of sad things about the pain and hurt that comes with that. But in the end, the story was really about hope. It was talking about the tools that her daughter had to make a change, her understanding of the world, and motivation to make change and to be an activist in the spaces where she was finding herself. And so when I think about the importance of a conference like that, that's what's on my mind this morning, that everyone here in the room has that same commitment to thinking about young people and empowering them to make a difference in this tired and terrible world at the moment in particular, but also that there is a story of hope that I think will come out of the work that's happening here. And so I am grateful to you all for what is to come, I'm sure. So Youth-Nex mission is to expand and apply the science of positive youth development to address fundamental challenges facing societies around the world, and is a critical part, or as a critical part of our work in the school. Youth-Nex in this conference represents what it means to be both great and good. So the great and good concept is part of President Jim Ryan's strategic plan. The idea is that to be excellent, we need to be good neighbors. We need to be good citizens. And so in order to be great, we also have to start with being good. And I feel like that is represented well here in the conference. The conference is organized around the premise that as society, we need to do better. We all do better when youth have opportunities to actively engage and influence the systems around them. And Youth-Nex walks the walk, so to speak, as youth have an active seat at the table. The topic of the conference is relevant now more than ever before, and I am incredibly proud that Youth-Nex and the School of Education and Human Development are leading this conversation, leading this research and action around youth voice and agency. So thank you all for your attendance, for your participation, for these critical conversations that I know will go on today. I hope that the connections between youth, practitioners, and researchers from different disciplines and backgrounds enriches the dialogue about the various topics we're covering. I want every person in this room to leave with something new, some new thought, some new connection, some new way of thinking. And it's now my pleasure to reintroduce the director of Youth-Nex, who's also our Associate Dean for Faculty Development and the Linda K. Bunker Professor of Education, Nancy Deutsch.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dean Rowley. So I'm going to give you a little intro to Youth-Nex. The center was founded in 2009 with seed funding from Altria. Dr. Patrick Tolan was the founding director of Youth-Nex, and he saw an opportunity through science to enhance the strengths of children and adolescents and prevent developmental risk. So our vision is really that our nation's youth, a rich, often untapped resource, may flourish and thrive. Further, we aim to bring young people to the center of research, practice, and policy, ensuring that those of us who work with and support youth are doing so informed by their voices, knowledge, and expertise. Today, Youth-Nex's work focuses on 3 domains: educational systems with a particular focus on middle school, because we recognize middle school as the often overlooked section of the educational pipeline; out-of-school time programs and settings, because we recognize that out-of-school time programs offer important opportunities for learning and development, but at the same time, the inequities in our school systems are often mirrored in out-of-school time opportunities, thereby compounding already existing differences in opportunities for youth. And third, youth civic and political engagement, something we will hear more about today also. We see these three domains as intricately interrelated and working together, along with the people in each of these systems, to promote positive youth development. At Youth-Nex, we believe that youth development issues are social justice issues. Only through engaging and ensuring supportive developmental opportunities for all youth equitably can society truly advance. Youth-Nex is dedicated to both conducting and translating high-quality developmental science to help ensure the advancement of that goal. And as reflective in this year's conference theme, we believe youth must have a seat at the table in this work. So it's a cliche to say that youth are our future, but that's a partial truth. They're also our present. Not only are young people shouldering the burden of the critical issues facing the world today, from racial injustice to economic inequity, to climate change, to gun violence, to a lack of access to safe, affordable, and gender-affirming medical and reproductive health care, to eroding democratic principles and protections, but they're also actively fighting for and trying to solve these issues. Not only do they deserve a seat and a voice at the table, but we need their energy, expertise, knowledge, and ideas. Adults cannot solve today's pressing issues alone. Too often, the systems and structures that shape and govern our lives are not set up to engage young people in creating the policies and programs to address critical social issues. Over the next day and a half, we will hear from young people, researchers, practitioners, and policymakers about what supports young people in enacting agency over their own lives, examples of how youth themselves are taking the mic to make change, and ways that as adults we can scaffold and support and amplify that work. There are many, many people who have helped make this conference happen. First, Patrick Tolan, who first dreamed up the shape of the Youth-Nex conference back in 2009. Dr. Tolan retired this summer, and so today we also celebrate him and his vision. Youth-Nex and this conference would not be possible without the generous support of Altria, who's consistently seen and believed in our vision for using science to empower youth development. A big thanks to Leslie Boreen, the person behind the Youth-Nex email, who has been tirelessly working to ensure that everything from the biggest issue to the smallest detail would come off without a hitch. A special thank you to Martha Pullen, who's been working alongside Leslie on all the conference logistics. Crystal Hayslip and Abby Gillespie has both also been supporting the conference in ways large and small. So if you see any of these Youth-Nex staff over the next day and a half, please say thank you. Special thanks to all the student volunteers who are helping out in lots of ways. So we couldn't put on this conference without you. You're going to see students holding time cards, greeting you at the door, all sorts of things, being on and moderating panels. So again, thank you. And also, please thank the students as you see them also. An extra special thanks to all the young people who are sharing their expertise and ideas with us over the next day and a half. We've printed business cards for all the youth panelists, so we encourage you to engage them during the conference. As you see young people from the panels moving about the space over the next couple days, ask them about their interests, ask them for their cards, make a connection, network. Couple logistics. Restrooms can be found off both the left and the right. God, I feel like a fly. Off the left and the right in the back of the hallway. Please feel free to use whatever restroom you are comfortable using. There are areas outside where you can go to eat if you prefer outdoor seating during meals or snacks. And you can use the door right over there if you want to sit outside to eat. I am now delighted to welcome the conference co-chair, Dr. Wintre Foxworth Johnson. Dr. Foxworth Johnson is assistant professor in the Department of Curriculum, Instruction, and Special Education here at the UVA School of Education and Human Development. In addition to being a former early childhood teacher, she holds a PhD in reading, writing, and literacy from the University of Pennsylvania's Graduate School of Education. She has received fellowships from the National Academy of Education and the Spencer Foundation, as well as the National Council of Teachers of English. Her scholarship lies at the nexus of sociocultural literacy studies, critical race scholarship, and civic pedagogies for young children. In her research, she examines the relationship between literacy teaching and learning in race-conscious and social justice-oriented elementary school settings, and investigates the socio-political development of children from historically marginalized communities, with a particular focus on Black children's educational experiences and racial awareness. On a personal note, it has been a delight to get to know her in a new and different way as we've planned this conference, and I have loved having her intellectual partnership. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Johnson.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I want to first, say ditto to Nancy. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be able to co-chair and convene this conference. So I just want to say thank you to Nancy. Thank you very much to Leslie, Martha, Abby, and Crystal. So welcome, everyone. I have a short but important part in this in kicking us off, and I just want to reiterate what Nancy said about connecting, right? So we want to use this conference as a place for us to engage each other intellectually, but we also want to have a vibrant social interaction with one another. So if you see or hear from someone that you want to get to know better, connect with them, right? Use this space, use lunch, schedule a dinner, be in conversation with each other beyond these kind of four walls, beyond the confines of the conference, right? We want this to be an opportunity for us to make connections in a way that we might not otherwise. And so I just want to say welcome. Get comfortable in your seats. Let us know if you need anything. And we are just so excited about the presenters, particularly this youth panel that we're getting ready to have, because I'm going to pass the mic very soon, and just be in conversation across space, right? Not just with the folks that we know, but the folks that we might not otherwise meet. And so this is an opportunity to do that. And so I'm looking forward to getting to know as many of you as I can in this next day and a half. And so without further ado, I want to welcome our first panel, which is about youth voice and agency in the 21st century. So we have gathered a collection of dynamic youth who are going to come and share with us about their experiences in taking the mic, right? We're passing it, but them taking it and really speaking truth to power in the positions that they have been able to ascertain. So I want to step back and welcome those panelists and that moderator up to the stage, and they will introduce themselves. Thank you.